Hello everybody and welcome to the February 2022 update from Clydebridge Station. Now this update is not so much going to show what has been done, but it's going to show you going through what I am going to be doing on the layout this month. As I mentioned in the January update, I'm going to be starting work over on the retaining wall and back scene at the station side of the layout. That's the southern side of the layout. And this is some of the stuff that I've bought from Scale Model Scenery that will be used in that work. Now I'm not going to get the whole thing done by the time this video is finished, but we'll be doing it a section at a time per video. The links to all the items that I've used are shown in the description below. I've got greyboard, 1mm thick, 10 of those. They're going to be necessary for the retaining wall. Weathered 5-foot modern red brick wall, that's going to be used for the back, for behind the main retaining wall, and it'll actually be used as for the walkway. You'll see what the plan is with that later on. We've got here Bravo X-ray 005 and Bravo X-ray 003A. These are backscene buildings that you just simply stick on with Yoo-hoo glue, I would imagine. I'll check when I read the instructions. And they'll be getting stuck onto the existing bit of backscene that I showed you in the January update. We have the retaining wall here, and one thing I will point out is that the retaining wall at the moment on the layout is actually higher than this. I didn't realise that that was the size of it, so what I'm going to do is adapt this so we can actually get a retaining wall that does fit the correct size. There's quite a bit in there, so I should have enough to actually get the first phase done. Backscene industrial units, Bravo X-ray 007. They're going to get used on the backscene as well. You'll see what I'm going to be doing with them later on. And we've got this. If you join the Railway Modelers Club, and the link to it is in the description below, photograph one of their products on your layout using this frame and then post it on the Railway Modelers Club or Instagram or Facebook. Tag them in it using that hashtag to win awesome stuff every month. So we're going to try that upon completion. So that's the items that we've got. What we'll do now is I'll switch this camera off and we'll get down to the shed and we'll get a start made. Right, so here we are. We're about to get started on the first bit of the new retaining wall, and you can just see there what I meant up the stair by the problem I've got. So I'm going to have to adapt, and how that'll be done is the retaining wall on this section along will have 2 sheets of 1mm greyboard on it, and this bit here will be 1mm greyboard only retaining wall. That'll give it some depth for the buildings that are going to be shown under behind it. This will have to be adapted, so one bit I'll have to take off the coping at the top, and the other bit I'll have to take off some of the stuff at the bottom and then join it together so it can form the first part of the retaining wall. Of course there'll be some extra bit here at the top and the coping here. That's actually quite useful. That'll be getting used later on as the wall slopes down. Spare greyboard will be then used to provide the backscene element here, the base for the backscene element here, and there'll be a bit of greyboard going in there. So this is what's getting filmed over several days. So we're going to get started today on fashioning in this part here, and I'll be drawing a line where I think I'll be going down this way to meet up with this here with the new retaining wall, so it's not got a sort of a curved dip like what the old one had, which was rubbish. One problem that will obviously come up is I'll need to put extra ballast up towards the retaining wall here, or put in some undergrowth so it can simulate the, basically when I put the retaining wall up, the greyboard is going to be sitting on top of the ballast slightly, so that's my way around that, is I'll put some grass weeds or something on there to hide that. So without further ado, I'm going to get on with the first bit of it, and I'll show you how I've done that in a few minutes. This is how we are so far. You'll actually notice that there's a little damage done here to the station platform. That's where the lamp post would normally sit, so that'll be getting put back on at once the work is done on here, not before. That'll be getting left on. It's a crucial lesson I've learnt here. So you can see I've took the coping off there, and I'll put the next bit on that will go up and sit there. I've also got this little bit done here, which I'll need to get stuck on. That cannot be done yet, however, until I've got the backscene stuck on. And that bit that I've just showed you there, what that's going to be is for the one of the industrial units. In this case, it'll actually be carpet cuts, and it'll sort of overlap onto the retail park area here, and it'll head along. Once I've got this first bit stuck on though, I'll be able to use the line and draw another line down to where the it'll meet with the bottom. I'll then be able to stick on my buildings that I've got, and they'll be going down in a hill. They won't obviously start here, by the way, immediately next to it. There'll probably be a little bit of a gap to signify where the road was turning, and then they'll be going down. So that's what my plan is. And you can see there's 2 mil of greyboard, and I say I'll get the other bit stuck on, get that stuck on, and then I'll get something for the back scene, get that stuck on as well, and then we'll fashion in something for here so I can get the carpet cuts stuck on, and then we shall be well on our way. Okay, so here we have it looking a little bit better now. Notice I've got the back scene up now, and I've got it a bit higher. That was a decision I've made myself. In here, this isn't stuck on yet, it will get stuck on shortly, but in here I've got something that'll fit in there just nicely. I'm hoping that this is going to actually stay together. I've fashioned out of some greyboard another bit of the back scene. Doesn't look right, does it? Okay, not to worry. I'll do something. Whoops, there we go. I'll do something else with that. It's certainly not going to look right at all. It's a case of trial and error there, using scrap bits of greyboard, and it certainly hasn't worked there. So what will likely now have to happen is the back scene element there, I'll just have to sit along there a bit, and I'll fashion in something else to support the wee bit in there. It's going to be the only way I can do it. It was trial and error, and it's ended up in error. But hey ho, not a worry. We'll get something done with that. So leave that with me. But that back scene is up, and I'm happy with it. So what will happen now is I'll have to fashion out how I'm going to get this next bit sorted, so we can then get the building in here. There's obviously the gap with the walkway there, which I'll have to fill in with another bit of greyboard. And then this first bit will be looking slightly better. And I'm not spending all day on it as I film it right now. It's 11:55 in the morning, so I'm only going to stay here till about 12:30, and that'll be me for the day, and then come back down to it tomorrow. Right, so that's what's looking like at the moment. So stay with me, and I'll try and resort to a plan B. Well, it's just about dinner time for me, so I'll stop them for day one at this point, but you'll only have to wait a couple of minutes before you see the next day's progress. But that's the first panel of the retaining wall up. Notice behind here we've got a little wall here. What's going to happen is that when we get onto phase 2 of the back scene here, this is going to be replaced as B&Q with a new B&Q. There's going to be a wee gate in here and another bit of the retaining wall here, because what I'm going to actually do is simulate that as to be the garden centre of B&Q. We've got the carpet cuts place in position now. Not ideal this, I know, but the only thing I could think of. And you see a little fire exit there, which leads along there. So I'm going to get the next panel on tomorrow on here, see how far along that'll take me, and we'll obviously then do this starting of the street down using the back scene shops and houses that we've got. But that's that bit done, so I'm now going to head up for some dinner, but you'll just have to wait a few seconds to see what happens the next day. And a very good morning to you. Day 2 of this little project I've got. You can see some problems are already getting encountered there with the back scene. We'll have to come to that at some point. No, got one possible idea that I could do there, but we'll come back to that. Now what I'm going to be doing here is, you can see I've got this second bit put on, so that covers over the carpet cuts area, and down here I've got the first of the shops in place that was on the the back scene buildings kit. So the next one's going to go in place here, and then we'll have a house. Why I've got these out is, this is a job I'll have to do off camera, but I'll explain it to you anyways. I'm going to put these two here, and I've got a metal ruler, comes spirit level. Hold it, I'm going to angle that all the way down to about here. I'm going to put a small bit in there of walling, and this will give me my guide on what I need to do in terms of the angle. I'll get that cut, and then what I'll be able to do is get the buildings up to a certain level so they'll be hidden by this walling here that's going to be put on the retaining wall. So the buildings will sit slightly below the retaining wall, so simulating them being on the other side of the road. Now it's a bit complex, but I'm going to have a go at it anyway, and what I'll do is I'll get it all measured up first, and then, as the old saying goes, measure twice, cut once. Obviously, as I say, I'll need to actually get the buildings in place first though, before I actually make any attempt whatsoever that will to stick these on. So that's what I'm going to do, and as I say, I'll have to do that off camera, but it is looking a little bit better. One issue I'll have is, of course, here I'll have to work out how I'm going to actually get the overlap done for here. I've got one idea I could do, but as I say, we'll get to that. Right, well, you can see here we've got the startings of the street scene here. I've got a little bit that will go in there, by the way, at the end. So the challenge now is to get these houses going up a bit, probably to about, say, here at the top of the hill, and then that'll be the houses in position. It'll be a case then of doing the really difficult bits, getting the walling on. Now the problem that I'll show you now what the problem is, obviously, is that wall's, the angle I've got it at is just going to be a bit too high for there, but look, we can see if I put it in here like that, it's just going to be, whoops, it's going to be slightly too high, but look, that's as good as I'm going to get. So we'll start getting the houses on, and they'll go up a little bit at a time, at the try and get them at the sort of same angle as this, the the building is the wall, and we'll hopefully then be well on our way. By the way, I must mention, I had originally 2 bits of the greyboard up, and I actually managed to get these 2 bits out of the 1 bit of greyboard, so that's actually a tremendous boost for me in my quest to save money, as it were, not having to buy too much stuff at the same time, so that's actually quite a good thing. So carry on, and we'll try and get as much of this retaining wall done as we can today, and then we'll do a bit more tomorrow. So I'll get the rest of the houses stuck on now, up to the point where I'm happy with them, and then we'll see where we are from there. Well, there's where we are at the moment with it. Now you can notice that I've been going up every 2 or 3 slates with incline. It's now starting to catch up with the buildings a bit, so what I'm going to do is go up by 4 slates for the next one and 5 for the next one, to try and get the houses caught up a little bit with the excuse me, with the depth of the steepness of the incline. I haven't bothered about glue. I'm not too worried if they're not stuck properly at the bottom now, because they obviously get covered over with the retaining wall. But a couple of other things that I've done, you'll notice that that I've got a tenement close there. There's also another tenement close there, but it's hidden. And I've tried where possible to keep the guttering on, but I've maybe go wrong 1 or 2 spots. But although these are not, well, certainly I've never seen the scale model scenery stick on back scene buildings done like this. It can be done, as you see. So I'll go up and I'll get some more put up. I'm reckoning another 4 or 5 houses will do it, and then I'm going to go for a cup of tea. Well, Martin Robertson, the Homes Under the Hammer team, might be visiting this street in the near future, you never know. Now, one thing I haven't done in this video so far is done my usual shout outs to other layouts, so let's put that right now and tell you a couple of layouts to check out here on YouTube. Warphampton is an N-gauge layout, which is set in the same era as mine, the sectorisation period. But Warphampton is more set in a Network Southeast type location. You'll see in the City and Network Southeast trains on the layout. His has got bay platforms and through platforms, as well as a small fueling point and depot as well. So check out Warphampton. And also check out Barnabas Junction, which again is here on YouTube as well. If you could give him a check out to Barnabas Junction. Right, let's get on to what we've done. That's the buildings in place now. I haven't used all of the houses that I'd bought, so I've still got about 4 or 5 left. Gosh, I sound like a monopoly there. But anyway, that's me got up to here where the road would level off, and it would sort of be just turning away like that. So there's just a little bit of rural scene now left that you can see visible there. And the houses here certainly give more of the indication of being in a sort of urban area now. So the next task that I've now got to do is to glue these bits onto here, and then I can get the bottom layer of the retaining wall put in. I think I'm going to have enough retaining wall to be able to do this, by the way. I have had a look and I think I will be able to have enough. The retaining wall, once I get that done and put into position here, will go along, and then I'll have to start working out how I'm going to do the top bit. That's going to be quite difficult, and I'll have to do that off camera, and then I'll tell you all about it. There's also this small piece here at the end as well, which I'll get glued in as well once I've got the other 2 parts, and that way I know exactly where I stand. So that's what that looks like now. So I'm going to go and get stuck in, as it were, no pun intended, to sorting out these bits of greyboard here, and hopefully when you rejoin me in a few seconds there'll be a bit more progress. So there we go, that's the first bit of the retaining wall on now. As you can see there, the greyboard is now stuck on in place ready for it to go in. And obviously I've now got the complication of the angle there, but I am going to get round and work out how to do that. I have various ideas. A couple more shout outs while I'm at it. If you're a modeller in Scotland, why not check out on Facebook the Scottish Railway Modellers Facebook page, and that's run by the Cooper Model Railway Club. And staying with the Cooper Club, my good mate Ryan Gray has a layout called Eden Road TMD. I've actually had the pleasure of seeing it in operation at a show in Falkirk a couple of years ago, so check out Eden Road TMD on Twitter. And a non-railway one for you, if you could check out a gentleman called Ben Ostler. He's a pop pianist, get that out of my mouth. The surname is an unusual one. It will be a familiar one to you if you like cricket. His dad was Dominic Ostler of Warwickshire. Well, Ben's keeping the Ostler name alive in a different way. So check him out on Instagram. And as you'll notice, I like Class 47 locomotives, so class47.co.uk is your source there for anything and everything about the Class 47, so check that out as well. Now what I'm going to carry on doing is going along here with the retaining wall. Got this bit here to try and do first. Get that bit, if I can get that bit done, what I can then do is that bit will be completed. I've then got to keep that angle going for down here, and then I've also got this small bit at the end here. It is looking a lot better than the previous back scene and previous walling attempt, which you could see there behind the push-pull set. And I'm actually doing ahead of schedule here. Would you believe it? A railway project that's actually going to be finished ahead of schedule. Who'd have thought that? Well, look what we've got here then. We have the retaining wall. Yes, I know it's rough, I know it could be better, but that is a hell of a lot better than what was previously on there in terms of a back scene. I've put some ballast down there as well because there was a little bit of a gap, and it's just to hide the rough cut at the bottom there, and I've already put some PVA water mixture on it, and you'll also notice I've got a little bit of coarse turf on it too, just a little random bit. Now, phase one of, this is all phase one of course, but it's not quite finished yet because I've got a bit of walling to do here. I've got to make some signs up for the garden centre and a bit of fence on the back there. How we're going to try and accomplish that, therefore, is we're going to do it in a strange sort of way. We're going to take the fencing that was previously on here, and I'm going to reuse that on there instead. I've already got it, and it would do it no harm, you see. And I'll do that for the back as well. I'm going to have to make the walling at the back there too. Believe it or not, we'll then actually be able to get started on phase two of the back scene and the south side of the layout. So these 10 commandment structures are going to have to go. They're not going to be able to be of much use on the new part of the back scene and that. But look, that's unfortunately that's the issue that we've got here, and we just have to live with it. But B&Q and Halfords are both going to stay. It's going to be a somewhat revised layout. Now, I didn't use as much of the retaining wall as I thought I would have done, so that'll allow me to get started on phase two, and I'll need to buy some back scenes from Gauge Master as part of that as well. So there is quite a bit to do, but we're going to get on with the next bit. It'll be a little bit more walling in there with a gate. Now I have the gate here. That gate previously was on there, but I don't find any need for the gate there now. Just quite a bit pointless exercise. So the gate will actually sit there now. actually came with you. I'm going to scrub that bit. Tell you why. Having the fence that high and then that gate in there doesn't look real. So what we'll do instead is we'll keep the building going along a bit. But I'll have to make a start for the B&Q here. So part of this will form the building. And then we'll get going round with that. And we'll just have this wall going along here and the fence on it, but obviously I can't put the fence up until I've sorted out this bit here with another fence. So it was a nice idea, but at least I spotted that problem beforehand. Now do check out the two usual suspects I always tell you about, Richard Warren down at Everard Junction and David Watson down at Dean Park Station, both of which are here on YouTube, so go and please give them a check out as well. Their layouts are set in the BR sectorisation era, same as mine. So what I'll do now is we'll go on to try and get more of phase 1 done, and I've got some scrap greyboard which will be useful for making the pavement for along here. So it's starting to come together quite well, this whole area. Long way to go yet though, but we are getting there, as BR used to say. Right, we're actually going to be able to start phase 2 in this video. This is another piece of scrap 1mm greyboard. Now I've put it up there because that's obviously going to simulate the walkway. You'll notice that the walkway is a little bit rough there. It's a back emergency exit walkway. It's not really designed to be in as good condition as what the car park would be, and I'll just zoom in and let you see that, as you can see there. Now there's a little bit at the end there which is just drying, and basically once that's dry I'll be able to get that put on there. Quick word about the old 10 Commandments plaster built buildings that were there previously. They won't be actually coming back at all. I've decided upon that. I'll scratch build some new stuff there. You might see that in this update, but more likely that'll come for the March update. So what I'm going to do now is carry on and get another bit of scrap greyboard and put it further along here, and then what I'm going to try and do is look at it from there and just see where we are, and then see how much support it will need. And then after that we'll work out where I'm going to put Halfords, for instance. It might actually sit here, or it may actually even be the case that I put Halfords in there, because as I said already we're going to have to make a ramp for there. So a lot of planning to do, but anyway we'll get on, and I'll also try and get that bit glued down as well. We've got another bit on there. Now what happened was, I put Yoo-hoo glue on the back of these before putting them onto the greyboard, but one bit was just come off at the top, so I tried to put a little bit of rocket car glue on to stick it on. It has went on well, but unfortunately, as you can see, it's actually went and dripped on there, and some of it dripped onto down there. You can see what it's done there. Look, there's no harm though, because what I'll do is, for the bit up there and for the bit up there, I'll cover it over. We've got this stuff here. And all being well, if Model Rail Scotland goes ahead in February, I'll probably try and get some more of that stuff. Now obviously I can't build anything behind here until I get the back scenes from Gauge Master. Talk you through what I'm going to do here though. That's these pillars up. So the next thing I'll have to do is put the mesh on there. Then we'll get a couple of signs made. I've got them on the computer, but the printer needs an ink cartridge, and I'll put them there to resemble the garden centre of B&Q, and this will be where the new build will come out. So by the time you see the next bit of it, it'll be a week since I'll have been down here, and there'll be a couple of bits of transformation. You'll only have to wait a few seconds though, folks. Now it may not become apparent, I'll just show you there, but I have got the fence on at the back there, And I've got these made up now as well. One of these is going to go in the garden centre, and the other one will sit on the new build, although that won't be achieved until you see it on the next video in probably early March. But what we've got here is the lettering for plants, compost and aggregates, and that'll go into the garden centre bit, and it'll be stuck on the red bit of that. The other ones will be stuck on for the side of the building. I'm going to try and get them onto greyboard, and then I'm going to try and get them onto some sort of pillars, support pillars that I can then put onto the garden centre bit itself, and hopefully it'll stand up, and then we'll get a fence put along there as well. So that'll certainly brighten it up a little bit. It'll make it more agreeable publicity wise, I think, as well. And we'll start planning out how we're going to do the DIY centre, although I can't do that until I get the next back scene up as well. So here we've got the two signs made up now. These were the B&Q stripes were stuck onto 1mm greyboard from Scale Model Scenery, and then were cut to size. The letters were just simply glued on using rocket card glue. You see a little bit too much has come out of there, so hopefully that'll dry out no problem. If not, I'll just reprint that. This one is going to get stuck on now, and I'm going to just stick it onto where the fence is at the back using Yoo-hoo glue. Leave it there for a couple of minutes, and then once I'm satisfied that it's dry and it's holding up, I'll then get the GWR style fencing back on there, and I can start planning out for the DIY, the rebuilt DIY store itself. I'm not going to bother putting any racking or that in there. There isn't actually enough room to do that, especially once I put that on, so I'll just do it that way, stick it on and get the fence up, and you hardly know the difference. But anyway, that's what I'm going to do next, so in a couple of minutes time we should be well on the way to that. Now, one other thing I must mention to you as well, before I forget, is I've kept that bit of paper that I used for them, because I'm going to need to obviously make a template here for the curve when I get, so I can get the greyboard cut to the right axis for the curve. That piece of paper will do as a little template for making that curve. So that'll be another additional feature it'll have as well. And with regards to the ramp, I'm not exactly sure how it's going to turn out yet, but I think with the curve probably coming to there, and there's going to be an axis, I may make the ramp curve as well down here and have steps, possibly steps as well coming down onto the Co-op Scotland area, but this will actually get raised up a little bit as well. The other alternative is to actually raise everything up to the same level, so I'll see how good that might be even what happens too. So this bit is going to be done in March though, but I'm needing to think about how I'm best to do it right now. Alright, so there we have the fence now in place, and yes, the B&Q sign is a bit lower down than where it could have been. There's not much else I can really have done in that situation. But it does butt up to the end here nicely, because that's where the side of the building is going to be there and coming along there, and I can get planning on that. I'm also going to have to start now getting the next bit of retaining wall in here and start the bend on it to get it around here. It is going to take a bit of intricate planning on how I'm going to do this, because I could simply have a short curve there like that, or I could have a long sweeping curve. I really honestly don't know yet, so that's something I'm going to think about. But I'm wanting to keep it within these parameters, but I suppose if I get a long sweeping curve like that to here, then what I'll at least have is it'll fill up this awkward angle here, and I've decided as well the Co-op's now going to stay on the same level as this, So there's not going to be a ramp to complicate things, it would just be too much. So that's the next step that will be getting done at some point, but we need to get this retaining wall carried on and then get all the paths done. It's not going to be easy, and I can also start planning out for the B&Q. So that'll be my next step. Well, what I've done now, you can see I've took the co-op building off, and I've took the first bit of the Gauge Master retaining wall there away. What I'm doing is, I've cut a piece of 1mm greyboard to fit in that corner there, and these supports that I've made out of scrap bits of greyboard, 16 or 17 high I think it is. I'll get another 2 made. Once I'm happy with them, I'll glue them onto the bit of wood there, and then this bit of wood here, I've painted that black, that's the 1mm greyboard. That'll then sit into shape there. What I'll then do is get another piece and curve it round so it'll meet up with this bit here, and then we'll get another strip put onto there. One issue that I will make an admission to right now is obviously it's going to be slightly a bit wider because I've made the length of it to match to the end of here. So what you can't see is there's actually some supports that will run underneath the greyboard that I can glue the retaining wall onto. And I'll have to try and make some for the curved bit too. So that's not going to be straightforward, but I thought it would be easier to actually start in the corner there, and then I could work my way around. Once that's done, the co-op will then get put back on temporarily because there'll be some backscene going in there eventually. But the trolleys, the trolley bay, and all this stuff will get put back on there afterwards. That'll actually mean it'll be right to the height of this, so there'll be no ramp etc. that I was originally going to do. The idea of a ramp down to here and steps isn't really going to work, I think. I think it's just going to be better to leave it the idea that I've got. It's much simpler. So what we'll do is we'll get that built, and the old Comet building that was there, that's just getting put in the bucket. The wee bit wall I made there, that's getting put in the bucket as well, and we should then be able to get this corner done. Now I'm running out of bits from SMS, so I don't think I'm going to have too much longer to do in this video. Well, there's 2 of the bits in place. Looking at this one, I offered it up first, the big bit. I'll just actually move that away now so you can see. That bit isn't glued into place yet. This was offered up first, made sure, and then glued it into place. This one I'll glue into place shortly. Set it there. One little problem, if you look carefully, when I put my curve around there, it's obviously the extra bits for support are actually going onto there. Not a great problem, because what I'll do is I'll put a support bit there, and we'll have this as a ramp going down to here, I think. Who says you can't? That's the question that's to be asked. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'll get that glued onto there. I'll maybe need to touch up a couple of bits once it's all dried. I'm not too worried about the paint going into there because that'll be covered by backscene and buildings anyway. I'll keep this bit of balsa wood here for the support, and that'll for the greyboard when the backscene gets ready to go on, and also for the B&Q store and the Halford store. Once it's dried, Scott Mid will go back in temporarily, but obviously I won't put the bollards and that on until I get some backscene done here. And obviously it's going to be going round there, but I'm going to have a better curve there, but you could see the curve there, it's more realistic. That'll be hidden of course by the greyboard, and I'll need to remove some of this gravel here. Oops, so I can see what I've got. I need to just now stick this bit down and then make a piece for here, make sure it's absolutely right, paint it and get it glued into place. And then I think what I'll do after that is I'll call it a day for this video, because I've done quite a lot so far, and obviously still more to do. Well, there we have it. I've made a little ramp, as you see there, to go down. What my plan is that the B&Q will maybe stop here, and we'll have a walkway up here, and then we'll have Halfords going along there, and the co-op will sit here. There'll also have to be the back scene to get installed as well. That's why I said I wasn't too worried about the paint going on the bit of balsa. So that's still wet as it is at the moment. But the basic structure is now there ready for me, and I've also got the curve here for the next bit of retaining wall. So I've literally only got one bit of SMS greyboard left. So at Model Rail Scotland on the 26th of February, I'll be there. Justin Noble will be expecting a visit from me with some readies to get a few things from his stall, or more than a few things, to help complete this bit and get round here as well. This chain link fencing is going to be replaced with something else, and the bus station will have to go behind the socket a bit, but we'll make a better bus station as well. It'll be slightly wider, I think probably to here the area, and then it'll narrow in a bit and go round. What it will also mean is that the stuff should look a lot better once it is done. I mean, that is crap, I'll accept that. That looks a lot better. And the bus station will be into the same style as that brickwork. I'll probably have to put a couple of lights in, but I can't do that until after I get the B&Q built and then the Halfords built as well, because doing so we don't try to install them now with the buildings. We'd end up getting things wrong. So that's where I'm going to leave this video now. And to be honest with you, it is quite a transformation at the moment, and it's going to look a lot better once phase 2 is done. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and before I do go, I just want to give a quick shout out to the 47401 project, who have their own website and who are also on Facebook. As you know, I love the Class 47s, and this layout is a tribute to the Class 47s. I've got 15 of them at the moment. I don't have D1500 Star of the East, better known as 47401 Northeastern. And that's what they're preserving. It's, I believe at the time of filming, it's at the Midland Railway Centre at Butterley. D1500 was the Pioneer Class 47, one of the 20 so-called generators, which were built with ETH equipment using a DC generator from new. The other 47s, except the 47/3 class, were built with train heating boilers only. Some of these were converted into 47/4s with electric train supply from an AC alternator. So it was different equipment from the original 20. Haven't got a generator on here at the moment, but as I say, that could change someday. So do check them out on Facebook, and they have their website. If you put it into your internet search engine, 47401 project, I'm sure they'll be happy to help you out. So that's this February update done. The next video from the layout will be looking at the rail freight sector. For sectors at 40, we'll be looking in detail at rail freight, a brief history of it, and how you can model probably the most diverse in terms of rolling stock of the 5 business sectors. Notice also the civil engineering department. That'll be a subject of a video as well later in the year, because obviously it's not a revenue earning sector, but it had its own part to play in British Rail days. So I shall leave this video here. All it remains for me to do is to say thank you very much for watching. Please take care of yourselves, stay safe, and I shall see you either at Model Rail Scotland or perhaps before then.